Wayzata, Minnesota, 1958. Eddie Velo stood in his turkey farm maintenance shop staring at a problem that had plagued farmers for decades. Manure accumulated in barn spaces, too confined for tractors, too large for shovels. A Ford 8N tractor with loader attachment measured 72 inches wide, but most barn doors were only 48 to 60 inches across. Farmers either widened their buildings at enormous expense or resigned themselves to backbreaking manual labor that consumed hours daily. The existing solutions fundamentally failed. Large equipment couldn't access the spaces needing cleaning most. Manual labor was slow, exhausting, and expensive. A farmer spending 4 hours daily on barn maintenance lost productive time that could generate actual revenue. That winter, Velo designed something radical. A loader that eliminated everything except the loader function itself. No tractor chassis, no unnecessary components, just the essential machinery to lift and move material in tight quarters. The prototype measured just 44 inches wide. It featured 4 wheels, a front-mounted bucket, and hydraulic controls. The entire machine weighed approximately 1,000 pounds, yet could lift half a ton. Most importantly, it could navigate through standard barn doors and maneuver in spaces where conventional equipment was useless. By spring 1959, Velo approached the Melrose Manufacturing Company in Gwinner, North Dakota. The Melrose brothers, Clifford, Sylvester, and Roger, had built a reputation manufacturing grain pickup attachments and windrow pickups across the Great Plains. They understood agricultural innovation. The brothers tested Velo's prototype on their own facilities. Performance exceeded expectations. They purchased his design in 1960 and committed to commercial production, hiring engineers Louis and Cyril Keller to refine the hydraulics and structural components for manufacturing scale. The production model, designated the M60, launched in January 1960. It featured a 12.9 horsepower Wisconsin engine, 2 independent manual lifts for the loader arms, and maximum lift capacity of 550 pounds. The bucket held 8 cubic feet of material. The revolutionary feature was its steering system. Traditional equipment used front-wheel steering like automobiles. The M60 employed rear-wheel drive with independent rear-wheel speed control. By varying the speed of left and right rear wheels, the machine could pivot in place, a zero-turn capability that transformed what was possible in confined spaces. This mattered enormously in real-world applications. Traditional loaders required large turning circles to position themselves. The M60 could work in spaces barely larger than itself. For dairy barns, poultry houses, and livestock facilities where every square foot carried cost, this capability was transformative. Initial sales targeted agriculture exclusively. Farmers with poultry operations, dairy barns, and hog confinement facilities purchased the first units. These operators faced daily manure removal requirements. The M60 reduced what had been 4 to 6 hours of brutal manual labor to approximately 45 minutes of machine operation. Production in 1960 totaled 162 units. The Melrose brothers priced the M60 at approximately $1,800, roughly one-third the cost of a small farm tractor with loader attachment. For operations cleaning confined spaces regularly, the economics were compelling. The machine paid for itself in saved labor costs within months, but agricultural sales alone couldn't sustain significant production volumes. The Melrose brothers understood they needed expansion into construction, landscaping, and industrial applications. This required proving the M60 could perform outside its agricultural origins, a challenge requiring both technical improvements and market education. In 1962, Melrose introduced the M440 model with improvements based on 2 years of field experience. The engine increased to 15.5 horsepower. Lift capacity rose to 700 pounds. The hydraulic system was redesigned for sustained use reliability. The machine measured 46 inches wide and 82 inches long, weighing approximately 1,200 pounds. The M440 was rebranded as Bobcat. The Melrose brothers wanted brand identity conveying toughness, agility, and compact power. The Bobcat, a North American wildcat known for maneuvering through tight spaces and handling prey larger than its body, provided the perfect metaphor. The construction industry responded with skepticism bordering on contempt. The 1963 Construction Equipment Magazine review questioned whether such a small machine had legitimate applications on serious job sites. Prevailing industry wisdom held that construction required big, powerful equipment. Compact machines were toys, not professional tools. Traditional construction equipment dealers refused to stock them. They viewed Bobcats as agricultural novelties with no construction future. The skepticism had legitimate roots. Construction environments were far more demanding than farm operations. Daily use on concrete, asphalt, and compacted soil created stress loads the agricultural design hadn't anticipated. The breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. In July 1963, landscaping contractor Arnold Hansen in Bloomington, Minnesota, rented a Bobcat M440 to move topsoil around a newly completed office building. The job site was severely confined, finished sidewalks on 2 sides, established landscaping on a 3rd. Traditional equipment simply couldn't access the work area without destroying completed construction. Hansen's conventional approach would have required a small bulldozer to grade and stage material, then wheelbarrows and hand labor to distribute soil near the building. He estimated 5 workers over 3 days, approximately 120 man-hours at total cost exceeding $300. Using the Bobcat, Hansen completed everything in 14 hours with a single operator. Rental cost $35 daily, plus approximately $30 in operator wages. Total cost, roughly $65 versus over $300 using traditional methods. Time savings were equally dramatic, 14 hours instead of 3 full days. The Bobcat's low ground pressure, approximately 5 pounds per square inch compared to 12-15 for conventional loaders, prevented damage to established lawns and completed sidewalks. Traditional methods would have required expensive surface restoration. The Bobcat eliminated that cost entirely. Landscape Contractor magazine documented Hansen's results in September 1963 with detailed cost comparisons and photographic evidence. Other companies read the article and began renting Bobcat units for testing. By late 1963, rental demand in the Twin Cities exceeded available machines. The rental model proved strategically crucial. Construction contractors were fundamentally unwilling to purchase unproven equipment, but rental companies could justify the risk. The model allowed contractors to test machines on actual job sites without capital investment. National rental chains, including Hertz Equipment Rental and United Rentals, began stocking Bobcat units in 1964. Rental operations provided unexpected strategic benefits beyond contractor testing. Rental companies maintained equipment, eliminating contractor concerns about service and parts availability. Rental rates were structured to compete with labor costs rather than equipment ownership economics. Typical 1964 rental rates were $35 per day or $120 per week. A general laborer with wheelbarrow earned approximately $3 per hour or $24 daily. 2 laborers performing equivalent work to a Bobcat cost $48 daily. The economic case was straightforward and compelling. Adoption accelerated dramatically with the 1964 M600 model featuring 18.5 horsepower and 900-pound lift capacity. The bucket capacity increased to 10 cubic feet. More significantly, the M600 included mechanized bucket controls, reducing operator fatigue during sustained use. Chicago concrete contractors discovered the M600's utility for residential basement excavation in 1965. Basement work required removing soil from confined spaces accessed only through standard doorways or narrow stairwells. Traditional methods involved wheelbarrows and manual labor, typically 3 to 4 workers over 2 days excavating a typical basement, approximately 50-60 man-hours of backbreaking work. Chicago contractor Joseph Palmieri documented his experience in Concrete Construction magazine in March 1966. Palmieri excavated a 1,200-square-foot basement using a single Bobcat operator in 16 hours, compared to his previous method requiring 4 workers over 2 days. The productivity improvement was approximately 4 to 1, but cost reduction was even more dramatic. Equipment rental plus operator wages totaled roughly $140. 4 workers for 2 days at prevailing wages cost approximately $480. Palmieri calculated 70% excavation cost savings while simultaneously eliminating the most physically demanding construction work. By 1966, Bobcat production exceeded 1,000 units annually through approximately 80 dealers across the United States and Canada, serving both agricultural and construction markets. The 1967 Quick Attach system revolutionized Bobcat utility. The system allowed operators to change from bucket to forks, augers, or other implements in minutes without tools. This transformed the Bobcat from single-purpose loader into multi-function utility platform. The Quick Attach used standardized mounting plates with 2 hydraulic couplers. Attachments designed to this standard swapped in approximately 2 minutes. Contractors could use the same machine for multiple tasks throughout a workday: earth moving in morning, material handling at midday, finish grading in afternoon. Third-party manufacturers immediately recognized the opportunity. By 1968, available attachments included augers for fence post holes, hydraulic breakers for concrete demolition, trenchers for utility installation, and snowblowers for winter maintenance. The attachment market expanded Bobcat utility far beyond original design intent. The backhoe attachment, introduced in 1969, proved particularly significant. The Bobcat-mounted backhoe could excavate utility trenches in spaces completely inaccessible to traditional excavators. The combination of front-end loader and rear-mounted backhoe created a machine performing most light excavation tasks without requiring larger, more expensive dedicated excavators. Minneapolis municipal utilities began using Bobcat units with backhoe attachments for water and sewer repairs in 1969. Compact size allowed working in residential streets without complete closures disrupting entire neighborhoods. The Department of Public Works documented typical water service repair time reductions from 8 hours using conventional equipment to approximately 3 hours. Savings resulted primarily from eliminating multiple equipment mobilization and dramatically reducing surface restoration requirements. By 1970, construction applications accounted for approximately 60% of Bobcat sales, with agricultural representing remaining 40%. The machine had successfully evolved from farm implement into construction tool, despite widespread initial industry skepticism. The M970 model, introduced in 1970, was specifically engineered for sustained commercial use. It featured reinforced loader arms, heavier-duty hydraulic cylinders, and improved drive chain protection. The machine featured 29 horsepower and 1,250-pound lift capacity, weighing approximately 2,200 pounds. A comprehensive 1971 Construction Industry Research Board study analyzed productivity data from 47 residential construction projects in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Projects using Bobcat loaders completed site preparation 32% faster, with 41% fewer worker hours than projects using traditional equipment and methods. The study identified the fundamental advantage: elimination of double handling. Traditional methods required loading material into trucks or hoppers, transporting to staging areas, then manual distribution to final locations. Bobcat maneuverability allowed direct placement from source to final location, eliminating intermediate steps consuming time and labor. The economic transformation was profound. Residential concrete contractors, who employed 6 to 8 general laborers in 1960, could operate efficiently with 2 to 3 laborers and a Bobcat operator by 1971. Workers who remained performed higher-skill finishing work rather than material handling, improving both job quality and worker satisfaction while reducing total payroll costs. Constructor Magazine's 1972 article, The Compact Revolution, examined how compact loader technology was reshaping job site practices. The article estimated compact loaders, led by Bobcat, had eliminated approximately 15,000 general laborer positions in construction while creating approximately 3,000 equipment operator positions. The employment shift generated controversy. Labor unions argued machines displaced workers. Contractors countered that physical demands of manual material handling made those jobs undesirable and difficult to fill. The reality was construction mechanizing tasks relying on human muscle for centuries. Clark Equipment Company, a major forklift manufacturer seeking construction equipment expansion, acquired Melro Manufacturing in 1969 for approximately $10 million. The acquisition provided capital for dramatically increased production capacity and expanded dealer networks. Under Clark ownership, production increased dramatically, approximately 2,000 units in 1970, 5,000 units in 1972, over 10,000 units in 1975. Manufacturing capacity expanded beyond Gwinner with additional facilities in Bismarck and later international production in Europe. The 1974 oil crisis created unexpected demand for compact equipment. Fuel prices increased from approximately $0.36 per gallon in 1973 to $0.53 per gallon by late 1974, a nearly 50% increase forcing contractors to scrutinize equipment operating costs carefully. A Bobcat M970 consumed approximately 1.5 gallons of fuel per hour under typical loading conditions. A comparable conventional front-end loader consumed 4 to 5 gallons per hour performing the same work. For contractors operating equipment 8 hours daily, 250 days annually, fuel savings exceeded $1,000 yearly at 1974 prices. By 1975, Bobcat faced increasing competition. Case Corporation introduced the 1530 compact loader. International Harvester launched the 2500A model. John Deere entered with the JD24 skid steer loader. These major equipment manufacturers validated the market Bobcat created while directly challenging its dominance. The term skid steer loader became the generic industry designation for machines using rear-wheel drive with independent wheel speed control for steering. The mechanism literally skidded wheels during turns, hence the descriptive name. Bobcat remained market leader and most recognized brand, but skid steer described the technology category. The Model 743, introduced in 1976, became Bobcat's definitive commercial workhorse. It featured 38-horsepower engine and 1,400-pound lift capacity. The machine measured 54 inches wide and 117 inches long, weighing approximately 3,000 pounds. Most significantly, it included optional enclosed cab with heating and air conditioning, transforming operator comfort and expanding year-round utility. By 1980, Bobcat had sold over 100,000 units cumulatively since 1960. Machines were operating on construction sites, farms, municipalities, warehouses, mines, and industrial facilities across North America, Europe, and increasingly worldwide. The legacy extended far beyond mechanics. The Bobcat demonstrated that sometimes the optimal solution is not bigger and more powerful, but smaller and more maneuverable, designed specifically for actual working conditions rather than theoretical capabilities. Contractors who laughed at the tiny loader in 1960 were operating job sites by 1980, where Bobcat and competing skid steer units outnumbered traditional equipment. Dealers who refused to stock them couldn't afford not to carry multiple models. Municipal maintenance departments restructured entire operations around compact equipment capabilities. Velo didn't set out to revolutionize construction. He wanted to clean turkey barns more efficiently. By focusing relentlessly on solving that specific problem without regard for industry conventions, he created something far more valuable: a fundamentally new way of thinking about what construction equipment could be. The tiny loader that contractors dismissed became the machine that half the job site couldn't function without.